Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make beef and cabbage soup. So before I made this soup or some other things I made recently, I was never a fan of cabbage. But once I ate this soup and a few other things, I really started liking the taste of it, and it works in the soup amazingly well. But there's something else that made this work really well for me. As I've been making cooking videos, I've been trying to lose weight because I really wanted to get some off. And I found the more I cook stuff at home, like my vegetables and everything like this, the more I lost weight. And after, like, say, the time of COVID till now, I've lost like 60 pounds. So something about the things I'm cooking must work. So, try to eat your vegetables. So anyway, I have cut up 2 stalks of celery here, and I am going to cut up at least a half of a head of cabbage, and we're talking like a medium-sized one. And basically what you want to do is just cut it in half and then slice across till you get like some really thinner strips of the cabbage. We're not going for really thick ones. We're just going to slice across this and just go around and just cut it down straight from the top to the bottom until we have wedges. Now, you do not want the really hard part in the center, so we're going to discard that, but we do want as much of this as we can cut off from that half a head of cabbage. And as you can see, you get a lot of this. Now, one thing is though, just remember, when you cook, it will cook down. So we're going to move from that into a large pot where we have a pound of ground beef. We're going to put this on medium-high heat, and we're going to cook it till it's brown, and we're going to break it up. We don't want really large pieces of this. We really don't want huge hunks. We're trying to cut this into smaller pieces as it cooks. So that way, as you have a spatula going around in there, just break it up as it cooks and keep turning it over and breaking it until you have smaller pieces. Because the whole point of this soup is, like, you're going to have vegetables, you're going to have some beans, you're going to have the cabbage. You want it to fit onto your spoon, but huge hunks of beef are not going to allow that. We want smaller ones. So we're just going to keep breaking this up as we go along and heating it. And we're going to cook this to the point where it is no longer pink. We don't want any of the pink in there. If there's a slight bit, that's fine. It'll cook out in the soup. But we're just going to cook it, keep going through it, break it up. Now, as this is cooking, you are going to get grease in your pot. We don't necessarily want the grease in our soup. So what I'm going to say to you is, as you get to the point where your beef is really browned and you're to a point where it's actually looking a little greasy, you might want to remove the grease from the pan because you really don't want that going into the end result. And it's easy enough just to drain it out of there, get it out. And if you leave a little in, that's fine. It's going to be some flavoring, but you just want to get it out for the most part. So just make sure that this is completely broken up, it's browned, and you don't have a lot of grease by the time we get to the point where we're going to be using the ground beef. So just keep turning that around and cook it till you get to that point. Now mind you, if we're on medium-high heat, it's going to take a few minutes, but you'll get there. And we're going to add some seasoning to this along the way to actually help the flavor of the beef. So we just want to make sure this is completely to the brown point before we go ahead and start adding in our seasonings. So make sure that periodically you're stirring it so the bottom doesn't burn or anything. And I removed the grease from mine, and then I'm going to come into this with a half a teaspoon of garlic salt, a fourth of a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a fourth of a teaspoon of black pepper. And once that is in there, we're going to add some more things to this. We're going to add a can of diced tomatoes, which I have Italian flavored. This is that 14.5 size ounce can. And then we have 1 can of light red kidney beans. We remove the liquid from the kidney beans before we put it in, though. We don't want the liquid that comes in the can. And then to this, we're going to add 3.5 cups of water. And once this is all in our pot, we're going to mix this up because we really want to get this all combined together, get everything mixed through, and make sure that everything that is in the pot is going to mix. We don't want any clumps of anything here or there like tomatoes or whatever. And then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of better than bouillon, which is, a beef flavoring. You basically don't have to use this. You could use like bouillon cubes or whatever you want to use to actually put your beef flavoring in. But with mine, it took 2 tablespoons. And again, we're going to stir this. Now, mind you, we have this over medium-high heat. So that bouillon I just threw in the bottom of there is going to start mixing through because it's going to get hot enough to stir it into the whole mix. And we're going to mix this up really well before we add anything else to this. Because in a minute, we're going to bring in our celery and our cabbage to add to the mix. But we want to actually give this a chance to be stirred around and mixed through before we get to that point. And then when we're ready for it, we're going to bring them in and put them into the pot. So go ahead and bring them in, slide in your celery, slide in your cabbage. I try to put the celery in first and then put the cabbage on top. One thing about the cabbage is it's going to stay above the liquid line, and that's okay, because if it's above it, that's fine. If you're going to put a lid on this, and you should, it's going to actually get steamed a bit anyway, but you're going to stir this periodically and take it down. So as it cooks down, you're going to mix it into the whole mix anyway. So just basically make sure you put a lid on it. Keep this up on at least medium-high heat until you get a good boil going on in this, and then you can reduce your heat down to below medium and let it cook for an hour, because it's going to take an hour for this to get completely done and totally cooked. So just go ahead and remember to stir this periodically. But before you start going with anything, take your spatula and push that cabbage down as far as you can get it into the liquid, and just that way it'll do its thing on its own. So now as this is cooking, you're going to check on it like every little while, because an hour is a long time. You want to check and stir to make sure everything is mixed together. But once you get to the point where you can check on it, just go to the bottom of the pot with a spoon, stir, ignore the fact that my screen got like steam all over it, and just keep stirring it up and keep going. The best thing about this soup, I have to say, is when you go to eat this, it has this amazing taste that you swear you've been to a restaurant, because this is not like your at-home everyday soup. This is definitely someone put some effort into making it, and it tastes so amazing. Now, as you can see in my pot, this cooked down as I said it would. And we're at the end of this pretty much here. So the best thing about it is just, continue to stir. When you get to the hour marker, go ahead and turn that heat off and let it sit for a minute just to calm down in there, and just let all of the steam out, let everything kind of cool down a little bit, and continue to stir it periodically until you're ready to serve. But I'm gonna tell you, this has such a great taste. It's something you do not expect, and it's kind of a surprise when you eat it, especially if you don't like cabbage, and I didn't, but this actually worked for me. And what's even better about it is I had other people eating this, and if you have a picky eater in your house, it's amazing if you can get them to eat something, and I did. And this is what mine looked like in the bowl, and this is such a pleasure to eat. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.